Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks again so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic and phenomenal day. Quick look here again at Bitcoin. Nice Bitcoin sale for you folks. In fact, most altcoins are on sale today too. Popular choices available here and now. So what I want to talk about is quickly to note, to preface, first of all, Asian market dumped as soon as the traditional markets closed there, or just roughly the 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time that the traditional daily candlestick closed. Price came down, and it continued further too, mainly because we had some jobless claims here, essentially less than expected. So it's not fantastic. This is somewhat of a fundamental catalyst. That didn't cause the whole entire price to drop this level, but it did cause this knee-jerk reaction down to the 59.5 rough estimate of liquidation there. Keep in mind too, we also had both CME future gaps filled. I would say that's mostly a fill. There's just a fraction of that 59,500 mark that didn't get fully filled, but generally speaking, we can consider this to be a positive, and that the likelihood of the price reversing itself from here is greater because of that. Okay, again, it's not an exact science. The price doesn't just turn around because that happened, but it is certainly something that's been filled, and we want to recognize that. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. I hope you can learn something today. If you do want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link down below. We do got a lot of new members that came over yesterday. Just a friendly advice again, read through our signals guide. I'm actually updating that here shortly. I'm working on some pretty cool strategies, getting that optimized, but make sure you read through that. And obviously if you have any questions, just interact with the community. We got a really awesome group over there. And I want to say thank you again to everyone, including Mr. Anderson, one of our awesome admins here, providing us with some good fundamental data there. Appreciate that as well. So let's look at the back-end data here. We talked yesterday that we were kind of in the middle of both, that 59K and that 64,000 mark. While there's still a lot of liquidation above the price of 64,000, there's a lot of late longs here that could also get destroyed. So just keep in mind, one last liquidity sweep down to that low 58.5 mark would make sense, considering how many longs we have in the entering the market here in the last 7 days. Okay. When we look at the monthly, telling us a similar story, only again, we got that highlight, that $56,000 mark. There is roughly, and let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so we can see it, $9 billion just at 55,700 alone, okay? So 56K, I have a pretty heavy limit order set there on my spot back just to be safe. While I hope and, don't believe that the price is going to go down that low, I'm going to be, erring on the side of caution to ensure that I get mine as well if the price comes that low. Okay, so maybe consider that. Either way, the probability of that is still moderately low. We're going to see how we perform here in the next couple of days. We continue to close below 60,000. That would be a different story altogether, but we got to recognize 60 to 61K is that generic support level that we have here. While we did come down recently, semi-recently, and held below that level for roughly about what that would be 3 or 4 hours. We've never truly closed on the daily time frame at that range or lower. Okay, so keep in mind that's kind of where we're at there. And again, I'm referring specifically to the most recent week or two. Obviously, back in May we did close below, but immediately ramp back up just a day or two later. So keep in mind, I don't think we're going to spend a tremendous amount of time below this price action, but we're going to see here soon what's going on there. Let's talk about the weekly and work our way down just to get perspective on the bigger picture. A lot of folks are asking me to kind of make sure to cover the larger time frames more consistently, which I appreciate and totally understand, especially now when we got some kind of funky larger time frame scenarios going on right now. So just to make it simple, we're going to keep it kind of vanilla here. We'll dive into some over the weekend, generally after the weekly candlestick closes. I like to dive into some patterns and different things of that sort. Since we're halfway through the week, we want to recognize a few things. Though we're over 50 on the RSI still, which is generally bullish, or more so neutral to bullish, right? You can also see money flow index coming low. When money flow index comes down to 30/20, right in that range there, it's common to see a bounce just based on the simple fact that there's been so much money flowing out. It's inevitable for the price action to flow back in. Okay, so we're going to start seeing some buying pressure here in the relative near future. That's my speculation. We haven't seen a tremendous amount of buying pressure in the 60 to 64K range. And I think if we come any lower, we're going to see that. We can also recognize too here that we got stochastic swing, trying to swing up here for the second time. The second stochastic swing on a weekly time frame carries a lot of weight. So my anticipation is if the price action, no matter if it continues lower or goes sideways, stochastic, once it swings back up here, we're going to start to see a pretty strong rally. And again, the reason why that happens is because you get this overextension that occurs in the second wave, and it even though it carries more weight, it's going to be substantially stronger too. So my anticipation is that we're going to see a pretty strong relief rally here soon. But again, 56K, we can't rule it out. I think that's still a possible area of contraction, so to speak, and that's a possibility. Am I saying it's a probability right now? No. We close below 60K for another couple days. I would say probably more so, yes. All right, so taking a look here at the daily time frame. Let's go ahead and get back on track here. We take a look at the moving averages. Not much has changed here. We rejected off the 20-day SMA last couple of days, and we're trending down towards the 200-day SMA. Now, what do you know here? This is an interesting coincidence. That 200-day SMA is right there at 58.5, the most recent low. So my anticipation is at 58,500. If the price comes down to that area, it would be a solid consideration for entry. Now, again, I have limit orders set there for my spot back. That's a different story altogether. But what I'm getting at here is that the 200-day SMA is notoriously a strong support range, and I would recommend considering entering in that area. We can see MACD also got an MACD FU. We're getting a little extra bounce there. That's that second stochastic swing on the stochastic RSI on the weekly, of course. And then we can see here traditional stochastic is swinging back down here. So the simple way to understand it is this is mostly a bearish sign. Okay. The likelihood of the price going lower is higher because again we're consistently retesting this area. So we got away with it 1, 2, 3, 4 days out of 6, but now we're attempting to break it again. I think there's a distinct probability we're going to go a little bit lower, just based on the macro looking so poor. Okay. Now again, if we hold this range here for another week or so, I think it's a different story altogether. We'll see stochastic swing up on the weekly and a couple of other beneficial things, right? But for right now, this is not favorable at all. If we take a look though, TD sequential, we're at a 9. Okay, last time we hit a 9, we bounced pretty solid. Okay, so again, we could see a relief rally here soon to kind of recover from that. But again, this just depends on what time frame you look at and how you interpret it. But generally speaking, when you see a 9, the price will turn itself around, and that's what it's all about. So taking a look here at the 4-hour time frame, let's recognize here quick stochastic swing to the upside here, potential anyway, so it's almost there, letting us know we are likely to be bottomed out here. Okay, so I think the bottom is getting close. And in fact, when you look at the 4-hour time frame here, that overextension plus stochastic and RSI, traditional RSI getting closer to 30, it really implies that we probably shouldn't see much more downside. Again, this is the midterm time frame talking about the here and now. When we looked at the macro, it looks pretty poor, and the overall sentiment could continue lower. But for right now, I think the immediate sense here is that we shouldn't go much lower right now. Okay, so if that makes any sense, there's a different distinction between the two. But if you do look here, minus this outlier here, generally speaking, we're due for a correction and a bounce off of 30 on the RSI. That's pretty standard. But again, this being a potential double bottom, that could be a bullish sign, right? But it also could mean a lot of other things too. So I'll post a playout chart on this here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord soon, just so you can kind of see roughly what the overall sentiment is here. But generally speaking, the 4-hour looks like it wants to turn around. The hourly looks like it's massively overextended as well, and looking to rally back a little bit. And then if we take a look at the Ichimoku cloud, of course, we're going to get confirmation to not take it long. This is the great indicator here that, at least to me, to help kind of give you the voice of reason. Okay, and so everything we've seen here so far, it's like daily time frame sucks. The weekly also is pretty poor, but we're still holding above some decent areas of support. So we haven't broken bearish by any stretch. The 4-hour time frame says we are extremely overextended and we're due for a correction, when the hourly also tells us the same thing, minus the fact that we have no consideration for a long position because the lagging span is free and clear. That's, to me, is probably the biggest thing. Obviously, we're going to be below the cloud, and it's going to take a little while for us to average out above those moving averages. But for right now, there's no indication I want to take a long. I would say wait a little bit longer, no pun intended, and make sure that you just recognize that we're not in a situation where it's advantageous to buy this dip, because it very well could continue to dip further, right? That's generally what it's telling us. So I think that the best way to go here is to err on the side of caution, wait for a little bit lower price if you're going to insist on a long. If you do take a short, which this does tell us shorts are in play right now, that you may want to consider just making sure you keep it low leverage and low position size to ensure you don't get destroyed if the price ramps back up. Bitcoin's really, really good about getting you convinced to take a certain trade at the overextended point, and then it just goes right back the opposite direction So just please note that that is a thing. Like yesterday, for example, I wanted really bad to be able to buy 61,500 to take a long position to bounce off that ascending trend line and continue higher. That point of control would have been a perfect bounce. Asia had a different game plan in play, and I'm glad we waited, right? That's where patience pays off. So right now at this point, folks, try not to FOMO in. I mean, obviously you're going to FOMO in. I would say FOMOing into a short wouldn't be the worst consideration. All things, understood here that we have a pretty bloody red day here, and Bitcoin dominance is kind of just staying even. So generally when that happens, alts are more likely to continue lower. So just be careful taking along with this coin. All right, I talked enough. I know I went on a little too long. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully you did learn something today. Comment below if you get a chance. Like, subscribe, follow. Absolutely appreciate it. Don't forget to join us on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, and or YouTube or TikTok Shorts. And if you want to become a better trader, again, CryptoCache.tech is the site. Welcome aboard to those who are new to the community. Again, read the signals guide, but just a recommendation. I will be updating that here definitely this week. I just had to run a lot of different equations through Excel and took a little longer than expected. So we'll get that out to you folks very, very soon. Appreciate your patience. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.